everybody, my name is Maria. Welcome back to my channel. If you haven't seen my videos before, hi, hello, welcome. I've been doing a series of videos where I basically share my story and give you guys some recommendations about everything regarding coming to Germany to pursue your university studies. So for example, I've already talked about things like how to find a master's program online, how to plan yourself, how to set a budget for your studies. So if you're interested in looking at those videos, I would recommend to check those out. They're linked down below. And in today's video, I basically want to share with you some hidden costs that I found that might appear during your application process that you might have not considered before, and which definitely happened to me and I discovered when I was applying. So the first hidden cost being international delivery cost. So even though nowadays most application processes take place online, so it's all done on a portal or on some sort of website from the university, there are still some universities nowadays which actually have you send in physical versions of your documents as well. So even though this is sort of old-fashioned nowadays, in my experience, I did apply to some universities where I had to send in, for example, official copies of my bachelor's degree or diploma, or a transcript of records as well. And the universities asked for these because they weren't just simple copies of your documents, because a simple copy you could as well send online. They had to be official copies of the documents. So basically your university had to stamp and sign and certify that it's actually a legit copy of your document. And that way the universities here in Germany could validate and make sure that your documents are legit. And it's important to keep in mind that even if you don't need to send in these official copies of the documents, you will have to anyways at some point send in your signed contract. So the contract that you sign with the university stating that you're going to study such and such master's program at this university. This contract will most likely need to have a wet signature from you, and you'll have to physically send it in by post as well. So these international delivery costs will come to you at some point or another. And how much these delivery costs will actually cost you will, of course, depend on the location in the world that you're sending the documents from. So in my case, from Venezuela, I used a courier called DHL. They're pretty well known internationally. And for me, they worked super well. They're very fast, very reliable. They even have this express shipping, which you can send in your documents and they arrive in, I think, 2 to 3 business days. You can also track your package or your letter at any time. So definitely would recommend DHL. They were pretty reliable. But you could use other couriers as well, such as FedEx or UPS. Just look it up online and see which courier works best for you and which one is the most cost-effective and reliable as well. Because you don't want to risk not having your documents not come in time or getting lost in the mail, for example. So definitely look at these more larger consolidated international couriers that you have a guarantee that your documents will arrive in a good state and on time as well. The second hidden cost on our list are university fees for documents. So when you're gathering all of your documents for your application process, you'll find that many documents that are required by German universities you don't have on hand, and you will have to ask your home university for them, since many of these documents aren't given to you automatically by your home university when you graduate. So your final certificate or diploma, of course, you're going to receive from your home university. But for example, a letter of GPA, so the GPA letter which states how much your grade point average was and what your ranking was, for example, within your class, these sort of more specialized letters might not be given to you by your home university for free. Or another example is maybe an official printout of your study program with a detailed description of each subject that you took at your bachelor's program. So in my case, I did have to provide this as well for one of the universities, and I had to ask my home university for these sort of specialized documents. And what will most likely happen is that your university is not going to give you these specialized documents for free. They will charge you for a certain administrative fee, a certain cost that you have to pay in order for them to process, print out, and deliver these specialized letters or documents to you. And in my case, when I was applying to programs in Germany, I did have a good amount of universities that requested these official copies of documents, and they weren't few universities. I think there were a high number of universities that were requesting this. I can show you a screenshot of the Excel table that I made to organize myself. So for the transcript of records, I think I had to have 14 printouts, for example, of the university transcripts. Of my grade point average letter, I had to send in 12 copies for 12 different university programs. For my bachelor's degree certificate as well, I think 15 copies or something like that. And I didn't end up using all of them in the end, because there were some university programs that I didn't even end up applying to. But you can see that it was a high number of these sort of official copies. So the cost of this sort of paperwork can build up in time during your application process. So definitely it's important to keep that in mind, and maybe you can try to research or figure out how much these documents will cost you ahead of time. So maybe ask your university an estimation of how much each document costs, and yeah, to have that in mind before you actually start applying. Another important point that we need to consider are legalization and apostille cost. So if you're coming to Germany from abroad, especially a country that's outside the European Union, you will likely need to legalize your university documents. So for example, your diploma or your transcript of records, so that they're able to be recognized by the universities here in Germany. And this again depends on the country that you're coming from and how basically the whole legal processing works in your country with the local government institutions. So it will vary a lot depending on where you are in the world. But anyways, you will need to carry out these legalization processes at some point. So either by yourself or hiring somebody else to do it for you, for example, a lawyer or a notary. And to know the specific cost of all of these procedures, I think it's best to contact your local government authorities, for example, the Ministry of Education or the specific government department that's responsible for foreign affairs, for example, to really know what this will cost you concretely in the end. Or also even simpler, just ask your university advisors or people from the department that you're graduating from. They for sure will have experience on other students going through the same process of wanting to study abroad. So that's also a really good place to ask as well. And in my case, my husband and I actually went the easier route. So we hired a person, a lawyer, who is specialized in these sort of topics because we were working full-time at the moment and really had zero time to do any of these procedures. Many times you had to go in the morning when we were working during office hours. And yeah, for us, it worked better out in the end to really just hire somebody to do all of this processing for us. So another important point that we have are official translations. So if you're coming to Germany from a country where the local official language is not English or German, you will likely need to translate your documents into either English or German, with English being, of course, the most universally accepted language, and which most universities, either in Germany or worldwide, will accept your documents in. And translation costs of documents are really tricky to estimate, and they can be also quite high because official translators, so official people that translate these sort of documents, many of them charge per word in a document. So it's really hard to estimate how much that cost will be until the person actually has the precise document on hand and can give you an estimation. And they also need to translate emblems or stamps that appear on the document as well. So just keep in mind that all these costs can be quite costly as well. And to get an estimation of how much it will cost you, either per word or per document, a good tip is to maybe go to the American Embassy or British Embassy located in your city or your country. And what I found is that they have a list of all of the official English language translators available in that region. And that way you know that the translator that you hire is actually legit and authorized to do so. And you can maybe compare estimates between different translators and look up the most cost-effective and reliable one as well. And for us, when we were applying, these translation costs were really on top of the list of the most expensive when we were applying, because as you just saw, we really needed several amounts of copies of the documents for the high number of universities that we are applying to. And the last and final point on our list of hidden costs during your application process are any sort of preparation programs and study materials that you might need for exams. So depending on the program that you're applying to, you might need to present certain exam results or provide certain certificates that you might not have at that time and that you will need to definitely prepare for. So in order to prepare yourself and learn and be ready to pass these exams, you will likely need to take either a study course, a preparation course for these exams, or for example, buy books and other study material as well, which all will definitely cost you a certain amount. So for example, the English language certification, such as the IELTS or the TOEFL, will likely be asked to you if you are applying to a program in English, or if you're planning to study in German, you'll need to provide, for example, the test DAF results. And even though if you're fluent in these languages, you will need to take part in some sort of course or preparation in order to prepare yourself for the exam. In my case, even though I was pretty fluent in English already, I did have to prepare for the IELTS exam and buy books and do practice tests that would allow me to prepare to finish the IELTS in time and have really strategies on how to pass it with a high grade. And also, it's not just language certificates. There are some study programs that ask for specific standardized test results as well. For example, the GRE, when it's about engineering programs, or the GMAT, for example, if it's a more business-related program. And these sort of tests are not like you can just prepare a couple of days before the test, or your university studies are enough in order to pass these tests. No, you really need true practice and strategies in order to pass them. And these are really best offered by specialized courses or books or any sort of resource that you can find in order to be able to pass them with a good grade, or at least the minimum grade that's required to you by the study program. And even if you do prepare on your own, or you have friends or family members that can help you with the books and study material, you will anyways need to pay a fee in the end to actually take the exam. So in our case, back in 2015 in Venezuela, when we took the IELTS English language exam, I think it cost between $100 and $150 just to take the exam. I also took the GRE at that time since I was applying to engineering programs, and that cost around $90 as well. And the TOEFL, I remember it was a bit more expensive than the IELTS, and it cost around $300 at that time. So definitely also very important costs that you should keep in mind. So those were all of the hidden costs that I discovered when I was applying to university programs in Germany. And for a quick recap, these are the costs. First of all, international delivery costs, then university fees for documents, legalization and apostille, official translations, and finally preparation programs and study materials for specialized exams. So hopefully me sharing you this helps you be better prepared and budget on all possible expenses that you might have during the application process before you actually start applying, so that you don't come into certain surprises later down the line. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any additional questions or comments on this video, or have any suggestions on further video ideas that I might make, feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. So wish you all the best and best of luck. Bye-bye.